Hey, what's going on, guys? Um, yeah, just got out of surgery. See this nifty scar here. Um, just had a couple discs replaced in my neck. If you are a guy who served in the military, guy or gal who served in the military, and was airborne qualified, not to say this is just exclusive to airborne operations, but you likely have cervical issues in C5 through C7 at the base of your neck. The first time I remember it happening, I was in Ranger School and had an ouchie where I was immobilized. That kind of evolved into every year. Sometimes it was very predictable. If I was doing a military free fall jump, based on the time and period, our SOP was to like turn our heads, look behind us, and clear the parachute while we had helmets on, NVGs, all the accessories, and going from terminal velocity to zero while you're looking backwards and your head's going forward, probably not the best thing for you. Um, Talked to Evan Hafer, Tony Cowden, friends of mine who have similar backgrounds and experiences. Hell, Chris Van Zant, a friend of mine who works with the All Secure Foundation, he was the guy at USASOC who told the command, like, hey, this issue that we're having is command wide. We can't be doing this to guys. And they actually got it kind of changed as an SOP. The damage was too far, too gone. So here I am, um, less than 24 hours after surgery. No impingement pain, which is what I had. You could take it catastrophically to the point in which it impinges completely, which it did for me, where I had no feeling in my arm, severe pain. Or you can go through the bouts of like, oh, my neck, and then it gets better. Oh, my neck, and it gets better. The problem with that is it's going to lead to a catastrophe. So get it fixed while you can. I'm in Provo Park. Very beautiful. Getting some sunshine and some walking as per the recommendations from the docs. I'm not hardcore, trust me on that. I'm just trying to get out and be healthy. When I realized not being able to hold my kids was a possibility, not being able to function like a healthy 40-year-old something should do, I wanted to get it looked at. MRI led to surgery. So anyways, I wanted to do this channel, Mike Glover Actual Stories, because a lot of the things in leading to Prepared, the show that we have on YouTube on the Mike Glover Actual channel, happens to be the distilled version of everything because it's produced. I only have a window of time. I try to get everything out on the airwaves. We're talking about border crisis issues, fentanyl issues, whatever it is. The overall goal for me in this endeavor, it is an endeavor, is to provide value for you guys, talking about how you could live a more prepared and sustainable life and not just survive but thrive in life. But that includes getting ahead of the propaganda spewed by the national media and telling you the truth, which I'm certainly inspired and motivated by all these channels like the Sean Ryan podcast, even the Joe Rogan podcast, a lot of guys that I follow, Santinello on YouTube, etc. And I have unique access and placement. I mean, my guys were able to go to the border with the Department of Public Safety for Texas, get to ride in helicopters and see the truth from the ground perspective, and apprehend 78 suspects in one flight. See Americans literally smuggling immigrants across the border, working for the cartel, working in collusion. I mean, this stuff is crazy. One of the things that happened while I was in the hospital that you guys obviously are aware of now is the situation that's going on in Israel. And it's mind-boggling, the opinions and the comments and the banter that I see back and forth. So a lot of people think it's a complex issue. And yes, certainly there's complexities that are more identified with the history of the Palestinian Authority and the country of Israel, but also the fact that the Gaza Strip, which was basically handed over to the Palestinians, has bred terrorists since Hamas's origins, since the very beginning, I believe in the mid to late 80s, and given them a free playground to plan, um, effectively train, which is apparent in the videos that I saw of these terrorists, and strategically act in terrorism. I mean, the people who say like we need to come to a negotiation table, or that we need to have a balance and we need to be very cautious at what we do next. How can you tell that to Israelis whose women and children were raped and brutalized and murdered on the streets of their own country? I mean, imagine saying that post 9/11 to America or to Americans. Wouldn't happen. So the reality is Hamas has just kicked over a beehive, and they have no clue what's going to happen to them. I think in this campaign that certainly now declared a war is going to last as long as it takes until Hamas is completely destroyed and debilitated. And for us as Americans to stand by and say, you know, everybody's got an opinion, right? But for us to say this isn't right, or we shouldn't be doing this, or you see people in New York raving and celebrating what Hamas did to Israel because somehow they tie that to Palestine and all the atrocities that they face as Palestinians. Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, what's actually going to happen is a lot of terrorists are going to die, a lot of innocent civilians are going to die, and that's the tragedy that is war. Coming from somebody who spent a lot of time in war. And do I want to see it happen? No. But what would I do reactively if somebody attacked my country? I talked to John Park, my media guy, who's from South Korea. He's Korean. And I come from Korean origin as well. My family comes from a town in South Korea. A lot of history my family has in the Korean War. My granddad served with Americans. My dad met my mom while he was stationed in Korea, and here I am. If a war kicked off in South Korea right now, between South and North Korea, my ass would be on a plane fighting. And that's because I have an allegiance to who I am, an American. That's why I fought in the global war on terror, and as a South Korean. You know, we live in a very dark world now. I feel like a lot of things that are going on in the world happen to be a breakdown in humanity. And where does it end? Who the hell knows? I don't know. I would be philosophizing and talking out my ass if I said anything other than that. I have no idea where it goes from here. What I do know is the truth is somewhere in between. Conspiracy theorists have been proven right time and time again based on the structure and the square pegs that have communicated and disseminated information throughout the world forever. And now, because of social media and because of technology, which is the beneficial component of what I'm doing right now, is that more people are informed. And so these people can't hide. So we got a lot of square pegs and round holes, and they're being displayed, and they can't hide. And I like that. I like the idea of that, and I want to get more to the ground truth of things. Here's what I'll say finally on this: is what's going on in Israel shouldn't distract Americans. It is distracting Americans, but what I mean by that is help. Do everything you can. A lot of people I know are tied to Israel. They have families in Israel. I get that. Do what you got to do. What I'm saying is don't be distracted from the agenda, the objective, because it might be radical. It might be extreme. What you should focus on instead is voting for the right person when it comes to election time that is going to represent you and your values. Because when you turn a blind eye and you let a politician get into a seated place of authority and power, they stay in that position of authority and power forever. Forever. Like, we have no rules on how long these ruling families and these elite classes can run these countries. And our country has been ran by a whole bunch of broken, corrupt elitists. And we have to stop that. So we have to vote out all the old guard, vote in new, innovative thinkers who are going to think through these problem sets, and repair this country, because we're too far broken right now. When I see people distracted by Israel, you know what's going on? Is we're dumping billions of dollars in a foreign campaign in Ukraine. Why should that matter? Because what did we just learn from Afghanistan? We just spent 20 years in a war funded, where now we spent in Ukraine more money in that 20-year campaign investing in proxy war. And what is that doing for us? Not much. Sure, in Provo, Utah, I got the best situation that one could ask for. But I work very hard, I pay taxes, I have a business here, and I do what I have to do to keep my family here. But other places in our country, like San Francisco, which I'm gonna go to very soon, has been debilitated by the lack of sound policies, leadership. I saw a smart bullet point on my buddy Jericho Dimmon's page on a social media feed that said, a lot of people confuse good management with good leadership. And that's true. There's a profound difference. You could be a manager put into a position, and you could be a poor leader. We need good leaders, and we don't have that right now. So we need to change, and the way that you can change is getting involved in local politics and federal politics and voting in the right people and voting out the wrong. That's what I'll say about that. I'm gonna get back to my walk. God, it's beautiful here, man. I'm very thankful and feel very blessed to be in Utah. I'm very saddened by all the people that were killed by Hamas, these terrorists overseas, and it bothers me a lot. I spent nearly 2 decades fighting against terrorists, and it's like it was a cancer. And no matter how much you went at them, they kept growing. And everywhere we go, where we fight these proxy wars, we get involved, especially as Americans, we create significant problems where we need to address significant problems at home first and foremost. I know a lot of people, especially guys who are warriors, guys who are fighters, don't want to hear that. That doesn't mean that as a foreign policy stance, I believe we should be pulling the plug. We should be supporting Israel. We should be supporting the right people in the right positions in the right places. But time and time again, we've proven to show our ass in supporting the wrong. I can go down that list, but I don't want to bore you any more than I have. Hope you have a good day, guys. Mike Glover Actual. Check out the channel, Mike Force Podcast. Check out the channel. Later.